Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Citizen Council live stream. I'm Chris Castleman, and my hosts, Brandy Martindale and Perry Holman, are going to be joining hopefully in a little bit. One's stuck at work, and the other is apparently stuck in traffic getting home from work and doesn't have self-service. So we'll see. But we're going to go through some election results and maybe analyze what it means for Coos County. So let me try and share the screen here. Share screen. They change this platform on me all the time. There we go. All right. So there is the Coos County results. And if you look in the upper right-hand corner, it says ballot count versus registered voters was 26%. So only about 1 in 4 people actually turned in their ballot. Now they go and register you when you go to the DMV. So I think the active registered voters is very, very high compared to other states. These aren't necessarily people who wanted to vote, went and registered to vote and signed up to vote. I think they do it automatically. So, but still, nonetheless, when you go to the grocery store or you go to work and you look around and you see able-bodied adults, know that about 1 in 4 actually turned in a ballot. So those are the people that decided some pretty significant elections. And I'm not passing judgment because I've been there. I don't think I've ever cared about a school board race before. I've voted now and then in those sorts of elections, but I've never really known the people running. I've never really, I understand the importance, but I kind of just leave that to other people, right? Until recently, I've gotten involved because I've been like, hey, a lot of this stuff is not going the right direction, especially here in Oregon. So that's kind of the theme of tonight. How do we change that? How do we get people involved? How do we get people interested? Because it's just a fact, people aren't. And again, I'm not passing judgment. I don't blame people for not being interested. It's not really interesting being on a school board. It's a lot of work and it's volunteer, and you kind of just expect these people to make the right decisions, right? You expect people to have common sense, to be prepared, to do their research, and to make decisions that are in the best interest of the community. And it's not necessarily something you think that you have to fight for. But we're in some interesting times where, because of that complacency, some people have gotten into positions, or a lot of people have gotten into positions, and at least personally, and a lot of the people I talk to aren't really happy with the results. So if we want the results to change, we have to change that leadership. So here we are. So about 1 in 4 people voted in Coos County, and lots of unopposed races, like that first one there. You're seeing Joe Benetti won for the airport district because he's the only person who ran for the race. So but anyway, so that one's not that important of a race. Let's go down and find some important ones. So this one was pretty important. You've got the transportation district, right? The CCAT. You've seen the buses go around the county, and they get a lot of use. And I believe they're building, or they're thinking of building, like a terminal somewhere. I would imagine it's going to be somewhere in Coos Bay, and like a hub for all the buses, and for like a center for the transportation district. So that's going to be a pretty big project coming up. And we had Phil Taylor here, who's, let's just call him one of us. He's a regular old citizen who's just kind of tired of how things have been going and decided to stand up and run, and he won. And now these are preliminary results. I think this is probably like 80 to 90%, probably closer to 90% of the actual results of the final total. So Simon Alonso has already conceded the race, but because it's not going to change more than a 0.5% or something. But yeah, congrats, Phil. That's pretty cool. Very, very solid win on your first time coming out and joining. It's a smaller position, but it's a county-wide position. So pretty impressive, pretty cool. Very, very glad to have Phil in that position. The other ones were unopposed. You see Harper Thompson. Harper Thompson is I think he's like 19 years old. He's just out of high school from Coos Bay. Pretty interesting. And then you go down to the college. So this was the race I was in with running with Richard Coleman and Danessa Rains, and we got slaughtered. We got absolutely butchered. This is a landslide. So Marcia Jensen, Jeremy Skinner, and Maria Sudduth were the incumbents, and they all won. There was actually 4 seats. One of them ran unopposed. So they all won re-election, and they will continue moving that community college in that direction. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But yeah, that was a landslide victory for the incumbents. And South Coast Education District. Let's go down to Bandon. Bandon was very important race. It was like a pretty even split, conservative to liberal. I think they claimed that it leaned a little conservative. But essentially, so you have David Heisel, who was a registered Republican, Stan Avery, registered Republican. They both lost, and they were the incumbents. So that school board has shifted pretty far left. It's now going to be heavily liberal. Matthew Whitmer barely lost. That's a huge bummer. I think he's a non-affiliated voter. I don't think he's registered with a party, but he was a Bandon or is a Bandon police officer. Really good guy, really popular. That was really surprising. I mean, all of these results are actually very surprising, but I think out of everything, most surprised by this. I expected him to have won in a landslide, but it did not happen. I threw my name in the hat for the Coos Bay School District. That was almost an impossible race, and I did not really campaign, but very similar results to the college. Arnie Roblin, very popular Democrat. He was in the Oregon legislature, I believe, for like 16 years. He was principal of Coos Bay School District, so that would have been pretty tough. But I was the only opposed race in the Coos Bay School District. So all the other people, I believe most of them were incumbents, and they won their seats because no one ran against them. So the other really, really important race, here we go. Coos County School District 13, which is North Bend. There were 4 seats up for re-election. All 4 Republican incumbents ran for re-election, and all 4 lost. One of them was very close. This top one, Mary Schilling. I guess it's possible she could pull ahead. I think she's been gaining ground, so it is possible she might pull out. That's only about 50 votes. Not even. That's like 40 votes. That's very close. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, the other incumbents lost. I guess Jim Jordan, this is another close one. That's about 65, 70 votes. So he could pull out a win there. But yeah, that school district was an important race. They had turned down the city of North Bend for an urban renewal district proposal for I think it was a $36 million, $40 million increase in urban renewal. And yeah, they turned that down. And the city of North Bend was upset about it. So they ran a slate of candidates against the incumbents. And if these results were final, they would have gotten 4 for 4. They would win. So you had let's see, the breakdown of the school board, 7 seats. It was about 5 Republican, 1 swing vote, and 1 Democrat. And now, if these are the results, it would be 1 Republican, 1 swing vote, and 5 Democrats. So that is a huge shift. Oh, it looks like Brandy's trying to join, so we'll get her on here in a second once her video loads. And yeah, that was, for me, those were my main races. I'm just skimming through this. Sorry if I'm making anybody dizzy. Oh, the hospital. The hospital was a huge race, Bay Area Hospital. And it looks like all 4 people who were running, opposing the sale to forget the name of the Quorum Healthcare, some private entity. They were going to sell the hospital, and these four ran against um, the people who wanted that sale to go through. So you have Simon Alonso, who won here, Brandon Sada won, Kyle Stevens won, and John Uno, very decisive victory over Troy Cribbins. So yeah, those four will go on, and they kind of ran together. They've come up with a plan for the hospital. That's very important. That's a huge victory. I hope for this community. We'll see in a couple years how it turns out. Um, you know, gotta gotta make sure the results are the way they are. Um, Brandy says she's on. I'm gonna try and add her. Brandy, can you hear me? I think my my video and mic are messed up, so I cannot hear her, but she is on, and you guys can probably hear her. What I'm gonna try and do here, bear with me, people, so I can get Brandy on. I'm gonna have to bounce and then come back on, and hope that that works. So in the meantime, I will leave you with Brandy, and Brandy can give you her view on the election results. Sorry, this is weird, people, but this is what I'm gonna have to do to be able to talk to Brandy. I will be right back. Hi, everybody. Apparently that didn't work. My bad. Just- oh boy. You guys are the most loyal fans and audience that I could have ever possibly imagined. And I appreciate every single one of you. So yeah, we've got like gremlins going on in the closet right now. And yeah. So all right. Where were we? We were going, oh,
Most loyal. Can you hear
there
me
you
now?
are. I can hear you. I'm hoping people can hear me. If you guys can hear us, please put in the comments that we're all good now. I think we are, but holy smokes. I threw you onto the could you hear me when I was talking before?
When you were logged off? Yeah, yeah. When you were on, yeah, I could hear you fine.
Okay. Well, apparently, so I threw you on and no one could hear you. So it was just like a blank
God.
spinning screen of you. Thank you. All right. People are commenting that they can hear us. Wow. Ay, 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 ay. Technical difficulties.
Oh, funny.
But
I
hey, cool
wonder if my
technology. You're
connection got
driving down
screwed
the
up.
road. Yeah.
Yeah, so for now, we're going by the Winter Lakes, so there's sometimes some bad service there, but I think it was the losing service and trying to get back on that messed up my audio connection.
Yeah. I was on Rob's show last night and it was doing that. Like if I lost a little bit of the connection, it would just sit there and everybody would spin. I don't know. So
Yeah,
we're
that's too
back,
bad.
people.
I had a captive audience and I finally told the truth about Chris Castleman here, and no one's ever going to hear it now.
There you go. There you go. Oh man. Well, um, I can put the election results back up, but yeah, I threw it over to you. Did you have anything? What's your thoughts on the election? Pretty surprising
Um,
results.
I was pretty shocked actually at the college results. I am reminded of something that a couple of different people have told me, and that is how hard it is to reach people. And I wonder, did people vote for Marcia Jensen knowing that she supports having a sex offender with complaints against him working at the college? Or,
Yeah.
or did they do it out of ignorance? Like, did they just see her name and are familiar with her and didn't know what she's really about? Or did people know? And do they not do they not care?
I, my hunch is the majority of the people voting didn't know. And then because only 1 in 4 registered voters voted, I think you've got a massive group of people who are just not even interested. Or maybe they know, but they just don't feel that electing me or anybody else to the board is going to change anything. And they're partially right. Like me being on the board was not going to magically make Curtis Buell disappear. Um, we could change some policy and maybe set direction for the future, but
Exactly.
that situation was screwed from the beginning. But yeah, no, I don't think that I think the biggest problem here is twofold. You have a very disengaged, disenfranchised citizenry, right? You've got people who just aren't, and like I was saying, I don't know if you heard me when I started the show, but it's like I have never really been interested in my life in school boards and school board elections, so I can't
Right.
expect other people to be. I mean, the normal
Right.
person out there, this is not interesting to them, and I'm not going to blame them for that.
Right.
Um, so how do we solve that, right? And then so that's one facet of it. Then the other side, you have a Democrat machine. You have the Democrat Party in Coos County who is
And they are a
fired up,
machine. I
organized,
mean,
and they are working very well, and they're well funded and doing their job and making it hurt,
they're
like
getting
they're putting the
Republicans
hurting
to do
on
their
this.
legwork.
Well, that too. That honestly, I don't think that played as big of a role. It's pretty shitty that happened, but I don't think it had that big
That's
of a
awful.
role. But no, I think the biggest two things are just disengaged people. They don't feel that this is like right, like high level. What do you think high level? What are all the problems with our society? If
Yeah.
somebody is like us and they go, hey, leadership is crappy, they just take our tax money and they spend it however they want, right? Like to solve that, are we gonna solve that by magically like putting you and me on a school board? No,
Right.
we're not.
It
So it's a
feels
tough sell.
so overwhelming.
And it is
It,
overwhelming. And it's almost an impossible feat if that's most people in their head what they're trying to solve, right? Or not, they're not trying, but like that would engage them. If we could present a solution to them that would solve that problem in their head, which is like all of this sucks,
yep.
and then they would be engaged to vote. But trying to tell them that electing Chris Castleman to a school district or a college board is going to magically solve those big picture problems, there's no way you can sell that. And I'm not even going to try because it's not true. It's not me alone or you or even all of us collectively who ran this election getting on those boards is not going to change that. There's a much bigger task at hand. I mean, you could see a path where that could start to, right? Like that's the idea.
So
We
I
get these
think it can.
grassroots people in and nurture their leadership skills and their followers and get it going and start a movement. So I do believe in that, but that's what we have to sell to people. And we didn't
Yeah.
sell that to them. We were just
The
trying to show these tiny little issues with a school district or a college and get one or two people elected, and
Well,
that
it's
clearly didn't
look at the
work.
experience that I had with Julie. I'm probably not the only one who has been turned away. How many potential activists have been turned away? And as bad of a experience as I had with Julie Thies, I still voted for her. I think she's absolutely has no business being a people coordinator, but if she can keep our hospital from being sold, or what? I think she was running for school board,
Nor-
wasn't it?
yeah, and they were
North
trying
Bend
to build
School
a
Board.
workforce housing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, was she, God, I hope I voted for the right person. And she was against the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
URA,
North Bend
right?
City Council was trying to, yeah,
Yeah.
pass a
Okay.
new urban
Yeah.
renewal um, budget, or it's complicated, but essentially they were
Yeah.
going to be given $36 million allowance, let's call it, and
But they
the
have to
school board
increase our
had a say
debt,
in it.
right?
Right. So
Right.
it's $36 million in debt. So it's over many, many years, but essentially they'd be given $36 million of taxpayer money from all these taxing districts. And because the school board is such a large component of those taxing districts of that money, they had a say. And they said no. And Julie was one of those people who said no, and she would have continued to say no,
Yeah.
but it does not look like she won. And just for context for people, what Brandy is talking about is, so Julie Thies is the precinct committee person coordinator for the Republican Party. Precinct committee person is kind of like your first step in leadership in the Republican Party on the county level. You represent your little precinct, your little part of the community. Generally, a precinct has like 10 positions, so you're one of 10 people that represent your little neck of the woods. And out of the whole county, we're supposed to have 200 of them. There's 200 positions available, but we've only filled 50 in the Republican Party, so we've got some work to do. But anyway, so Julie's supposed to be coordinating that effort to engage with the community, grow the amount of precinct committee people, and find them so that we can organize the party. Imagine if we had 200 people, an army of 200 people to go out there and you know get Republicans elected and share the platform. That would be a very different scenario than we are in today. And so Brandy asked her some questions about the platform, and essentially she just gave you the middle finger. I mean, worse than that. It was
Well,
pretty
that's
crazy.
no, it was, I would like to explain the conversation. She tagged me in I commented on a post that speaking to the fact that the Republican Party has been basically invisible here in Coos County. I haven't heard or
Right.
seen much of them at all. So she tagged me in a post and said, "Hey, we're really looking for people like you. We need people like you. I would love to see you, get involved. I'm the person coordinator, yada yada." And was like, so I direct messaged her and said, "Hey, so here's the situation. I'm an unaffiliated voter, but I really want to help promote conservative candidates in Coos County. How can I help?" And I clarified that I'm not really sure what my role could be because I am pro-choice. And I believe in equal rights for gay marriage. And so I didn't mention that, but like I mentioned the abortion thing, that I'm pro-choice. And she was right away like, "Well, I think it would probably be best if you pursued creating your own party." And I was kind of like, basically she said, "You should go about creating your own party rather than try to change the values of our party." And I was like, good point. Okay. Because what do you say to that? What do you say to that other than,
Yeah.
I guess, like, F me then? So over the week, that conversation really didn't sit well with me. I was pretty unhappy with how it unfolded. And so I went online, as one does, and looked up the federal Republican Party platform. And I read the entire document and I was pissed. I was pissed off because I agree with every single thing in that document. The National Republican Party is not anti-abortion. They oppose late term abortions, which, what do you know? So do I. The National Republican Party has no problem with gay marriage. Let the homos have marriages. Us heterosexuals have more than one marriage often. And so when I discovered that my beliefs aligned perfectly with the federal Republican Party and that I had been turned away by a party that desperately needs supporters, I was angry. And I reached out to her and basically said, and I was not rude, but did not mince words. I was very direct. And I said, basically, what you did was wrong. What you're like, this is incompetency. You should not be in this position. And I don't think I came out the gate that hot, actually. I think I came out pretty, like, I reached back out to her
I
and said,
thought you
hey,
did. You were totally fine. Yeah.
okay. I came back and just said, hey, I've gotten with looked this up and I don't understand why you suggested this. And she kind of had I forget how the conversation went after that. She had a dismissive reply. And I just was like, listen, this is your role. This party is dying because you are failing as a leader. Like, why did you tag me? Why did you do that? If you're just, and then she wrote me a message like in all caps screaming that her life doesn't revolve around politics. She's at work. Like, nowhere in the message did I insinuate that I expect an answer right now. Get back to me later. Get back to me a couple days later. But no, I was
Right.
appalled by the conversation. So I screenshotted it and then I posted it on the Coos County Republican Facebook page, or what I thought was the Coos County Republican page. It's just some dude who fancies himself. Him, Michael Brainard,
He
removed me
was
and
the
took my post down.
he, all this is crazy. This is not anybody who's experienced anything like Brandy and I have and other people, but like this is not right. This is not
No,
how
it's
you run a political party. It's insane. And Michael
it's
Brainard's the chair.
pathetic.
The person who claimed they run that group is the chair from last year. And that's not true that he just runs the group. Like it was a property of the Republican Party. The Republican Party managed that group so we could have conversation and promote events. And he has hijacked it now. He's claiming it's his because he, wants to control the narrative. He's pulling stuff right out of the liberal playbook, which is control the narrative, get people out that don't agree with you 100%, and they're control freaks and they might micromanage things. So they've kicked everybody out that they don't agree with, including me. Apparently, I mean, they've never mentioned what they disagree with me on, um, but it's bad. So I mean, if people are interested, um, there's a meeting tomorrow at 6, and we'd love to have new people. So I'm vice chair of the Republican Party. You'd get my vote. I mean, literally anybody who wants to take the time to show up and say I want to be part of this party, you're going to get my vote. Even if I disagree with you on stuff at this point, because we just need more discourse. We need more conversation. Um, and we just need a whole new conversation in the Republican Party. We need better people who are going to like actually be out there in the community trying to solve problems, not just control a narrative. So, I mean, ideally, people would know what the Republican Party platform is, but that's something that we can, share through future meetings. I would love each meeting to have like a segment of the meeting to describe a part of the platform. Like, here are our views on election integrity. Here are our views on the family unit and structure, like the traditional family structure. Or here's our thoughts on education or law and order. Like that would be so cool. And we don't do that right now. So
I can't
if you're
believe
interested,
that Republican leadership doesn't do stuff like that on a regular basis. It kind of blows my mind that these people in positions of power, I mean, that really is, you have power to shape the culture, to rally people, to make things happen, to support candidates, to change leadership. And they're just sitting on their hands. They're just do nothings. I don't understand how they can be so selfish, to be so interested in serving their own ego to the detriment of healthy group dynamics and group formation and group activities. It's so small. It is so small personed.
It's pretty crazy. And if you if you go further down the rabbit hole as I have, and you start to know these people, it'll be even crazier. You'll have even less answers. And but I mean, if you want to come, that'd be great. I mean, you don't have to like again, this is my
Oh, I'll
vision.
be there.
So
I'm
I don't know
coming
if it's the
tomorrow.
majority vision, but that's awesome, because we need people who want to engage with the party, and you don't have to believe and support 100% of the platform, but you do have to make a decision to say, we're going to support people who support this platform, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could say, hey, I'm all on board for like the law and order aspect. I think law and order is important around here. I think the Republican Party has a good vision and a good policy that they want to implement, and I'm going to support that. And if you disagree in other areas, leave that part out of it. You can maybe even go to the Democrat meetings and talk to them about how they handle education or something, if that's what you fancy. But when you're at the Republican Party, you can focus on the things that you do agree with. And I would welcome people who can do that. If you can reach across the aisle, or like segment your thinking, that'd be great. I mean, there are so many independents and non-affiliated voters out there who, yeah,
Yeah.
they're not going to check off every box for the conservative party platform. um it would be great if we had people who were like fully conservative, but we just don't. So what are we going to do, suffer, just sit there and like not have any candidates? It's crazy. So
Right. And why does
tomorrow
the
will be
Republican
interesting.
Party want to be so restrictive that they alienate people who would support their candidates? It is not intelligent.
Right.
Like, this is not a smart strategy. This is not like big brain thinking, guys. When you're so hard line on every little, it's like, I just, we're all adults. Like, isn't the Republican Party supposed to be the party of individual freedoms and liberties? So let's let adults pick and choose how they live their life, as long as it's in accordance with the law, and we're not asked to participate or pay for it. Really simple.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing too, like, if you've got people that are coming who are like, hey, I like your Republican candidates and I want to help. How can I help? How can I like your
Yeah.
platform, or I like this aspect of your platform? How can I help? And they're willing to like promote it and come to events and go knocking on doors during elections. Like, why would we not reach out to those people? And anyway, so there's so much more that can be done. I hope people show up tomorrow, because I hope that it will be a pivotal meeting. I mean, I think, looking at the ballot, every Republican candidate lost. Every contested Republican candidate lost. That's that's
Well, Phil
crazy.
Taylor is Republican, wasn't he?
Is the only exception. Yes, Phil
Okay,
Taylor.
yeah,
Yeah,
because I voted for Phil. You're
yeah.
right. And
No, a lot
I
of people
did
did.
kind of,
Obviously, he won, but
well, I mean, look at our crime, right? We have liberal, like leftist big city crime. So our elections are reflecting a bunch of leftists. Look at some of these people's names. Look up their Facebook profiles. I was pretty shocked at what I saw. I mean, we're talking really, really ideologically driven people. And look at the results, guys. Look around you. Like, we have big city crime in a small town for a reason, and that's because of the people that we have in positions of leadership. I mean, we have
I mean, I think
people
when
that
you get
think it's
further
fine to,
out,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry, we're talking over. I was going to say, when you're going out towards like Myrtle Point or Powers, like further parts of the district or Lakeside, it gets more conservative. Like, when you look at the city councils or their taxing districts, like the boards. But yeah, like centered around, North Bend, Coos Bay, Bandon, Coquille, it's like they're all liberal controlled. Like, the majority of our county is controlled by the Democrats, in a county that votes 60% for Trump. So there's a disconnect there. There's something, and I'm not necessarily like, if you're a Democrat, like, that's not like, people like, it's a representative democracy, and that's how it's supposed to be set up. And right now there's an imbalance. The representatives that we have do not represent the actual people in this community. And I'm saying, setting aside whether you agree with who's in the community or whether you agree, it just does not add up, right? It's like the
Right.
liberals, right? The whole DEI thing that they push. Like, oh, if there's 7 white men on a city council, we got to try and, get a black person on there, right, to represent the community better, right? They have that concept that they want to push. Why don't they push that when it's like fully liberal in a conservative district? Right? They're not like, oh, let's get one of our
I've wondered
conservative
the
friends
same
on
thing.
here to be more diverse and inclusive. They don't, because they're like, we're winning, holy shit, we're winning. And conservatives want to do
I
the
have
same thing, right?
never,
Conservatives want to win, everybody wants to win. But
I've come across quite a few conservatives who are really interested in opening their platforms to leftists to come on and talk, and really I mean, I've seen a lot of it, and not in a hostile confrontational environment, really like uh, wanting to let them give their spiel and let them say their side. I feel like that has not been the case with like leftist outlets or leftist groups. They're very if you don't believe what they believe, you're a racist bigot. Meanwhile, they are literally doing the excluding of people based on race and based on, differences of
yeah,
viewpoint, I guess. It's wild. It's very hypocritical. It's very self-serving. It's very ego driven. It's all very ugly.
yeah, no, we have to find a way to have things more aligned with the actual people that I meet on an everyday basis. Like, they're
Well,
just, I don't know, we've got a lot of
didn't
work to do.
didn't you say that there a large percentage of voters did not even vote?
Yeah, 3 out of 4 people did not vote. I mean, it was 26% voter turnout. So, um,
Whoa.
when you're looking around at
Seriously.
work, only 1 out of 4 people voted. But again, like, I don't blame people. It's like, if I have a different vision for political engagement with the community, if I want the community to be more engaged, that's up to me, right? It's my responsibility to reach out to them, to create an environment that engages with them. I'm not blaming people for
Right,
not being engaged.
exactly.
Like, if I'm putting myself out there as a leader in the community or a leader in the Republican Party, it's on me to work my butt off to change the dynamic. So
Right.
understanding what the dynamic is important. It's 1 in 4 right
Were
now.
you
One
able
in
to
four
get
people are engaged enough to vote.
were you able to get the breakdown numbers by political party of what percentage voted for each
Um,
political party?
I don't have it, but I think that's
Or
something
you
you can
probably get
get. I
it.
feel like eventually you can, yeah, they would show, like, they won't tell you
Mhm.
who they voted for, but it'll say, like, yeah, how many
Right.
registered Republicans voted or how many registered
Right.
Democrats voted. Um, but but yeah, it's
That is it right there. Like that, the Republican Party's job in this county is to make sure that conservative voters cast a ballot, and they failed. Like this election just proves that the Republican Party leadership is trash. And I hope that everyone watches this and like hears that message. Trash. Absolutely trash performance. I
just
mean, n-
non-existent.
none of
Um,
your people won. Like, is there any accountability? Is there any sense of like, boy, I should have stepped up to the plate? Or is it just like, I don't want to do
we'll have
the
to see.
inappropriate
Yeah, what are they
gesticulation that
gonna
I was gonna.
what are they going to say tomorrow, right? So I'm vice chair of the Republican Party, but I can tell you, I tried everything I could to get us to do something better. I mean, I got elected in November, and I tried over and over and over to encourage the chair, Michael, to focus on the election, to start engaging with trying to find candidates, recruit candidates. Once we find them, vet them, decide who's actually capable of winning, who has the right ideas, figure out who's the best person for what position, and then support the hell out of them, organize around them,
Yes,
support them,
promote them.
get them what they need, get them websites, social media, um, multimedia ads, like video ads, radio spots, signs, work together, go door knocking. And I did some of that on my own as best I could, right? I did signs for people, like graphics. I did um, websites. I did this podcast. We interviewed people, so like I participated somewhat as far as I could take it. But essentially, the disconnect is Michael Brainard is the chair of the Republican Party. He told me specifically, I work for him. I'm not allowed to do anything without his permission. He would not give me control to things like our email platform to send out an email. I'm not allowed to add anything to the agenda. So every meeting, it's his agenda. I've tried to add things to the agenda. I've tried to redo our website. I've tried to have events like movie nights. Um, and it's just been a no, no, no. It's been no over and over and over again. And he never put the right things on the agenda at the right time so that we could get endorsements. We never endorsed anybody. The Republican Party didn't endorse any candidates. I mean, because we didn't have time. We ran out of time. Um, he tried to do it last minute in like an executive session, and our bylaws don't allow that. We are only allowed to endorse candidates with a full vote of the committee, which makes sense. You don't want just like a couple people in a room deciding
Right,
who the party endorses.
right.
So, anyways, that was long winded, but it's all on him. It's people, and I wasn't the only one who tried. Danessa tried. She's on the leadership team of the Republican Party. There are a few other individuals that tried their hardest, fought in executive meetings to get things moving in a better direction, and he didn't want to have anything to do with it. He kept telling us this election, it's an off year. He was saying it's an off year. It's not a big deal. These elections aren't a big deal. It's crazy. But are you about to go to dinner? Do you have to
Yeah,
go?
I'm so appalled, and I will be there tomorrow night. I will not be joining the Republican Party right now for personal reasons. However, I will be bringing as many people as I can with me, and I do encourage people to join if that's the right decision for them. I do think that it's a great thing to join. It's a great thing to get involved. Um, I don't know what's going on with these
Well, you've
people.
got a
I don't know
great
what goes through
perspective
their
to
head when
add.
they make these. What's that?
I was saying you've got a great perspective to add, even if you're not going to join the party or whatever. Like you have a perspective that is valuable to the party. So I
Thank
hope
you.
they allow you to speak tomorrow. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't, but I'm not in control of those meetings, by the way. So we will see what happens.
We will
Yeah.
see what happens. Um, I think I might invite my friend from the media to come. Would that be okay?
Oh, geez. Sure. I mean, there. It's not my meeting. I am one person in the party. I will do what I can to make sure it is as transparent as possible. I think I would fully support a change in leadership. I mean, I don't think I'm a good fit for chair. I have some other people who I think would be do a better job at it. I'm better, coordinating events and doing other things like helping with the website and multimedia stuff. And I think I'm a little too outspoken and like activist type to be a chair of a party like that. But I can tell you for a
That's a
fact,
fair, yeah.
the chair we have right now, just it hasn't worked. Like we're supposed to be merit based, right? The conservative party is like, oh, we love merit, we want to be merit based. Well, what what
My question
merit?
to
We didn't
Michael
accomplish
Brainard is,
anything.
why did I have conservative voters reaching out to me to ask who to vote for? Chair of the Republican Party? Like, I just, I have questions, man. And eventually
Yeah.
I'm gonna get my answers. I'm sure tomorrow will go fine. I'm sure it will be colorful, but I'm sure it'll go fine. I just have questions and I will get answers one way or another. If they don't let me ask them tomorrow, they're going to get asked on a larger stage and they're maybe going to regret not asking them, answering those questions while they had a chance.
I mean, it's supposed to be a party for the people, for the people in this county that are Republican. And we're supposed
Yep.
to be reaching out to those people, engaging with them, bringing them in and learning from
Yeah.
them and coordinating with them. And we haven't done that. So what's going to happen tomorrow is, I bet you, the more people that show up, the flip side to the Republican leadership that I'm not a part of, like Michael Brainard, there's Rod Schilling, there's some other people that Julie that you talked about, this like old guard of people that have been involved for years with the party. They're going to freak out. They don't want other voices involved, and it's insane
That's awful.
because that's what this is all about. It's not their party; it's our collective party. It's not their
Right.
party, and and like you said, they're gonna have to figure it out one way or another. So hopefully they figure it out
Okay,
really quick
Chris,
tomorrow. And
let me go ahead and get to my
you got to
dinner.
go.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having
Well,
me on. And I'm sorry to cut it short.
no worries. Appreciate you being on as long as you could. So
Yeah. Thank
we'll
you,
see you tomorrow.
everybody. Good night. And we'll see everybody tomorrow night at the meeting.
See. All right. Well, that was cool that she could join us for a little bit. I'm still waiting on Perry. I don't know if he will join us, but I think I was almost finished with the election results. I will bring them up just in case I wasn't, for people who were interested. So yeah, you've got Bay Area Hospital Board, Brandon Sada, Kyle Stevens, John Uno, and Simon Alonso for the win. And I'm gonna go quick through this. I don't think there was anything else. All the way at the bottom, let me go all the way down. North Bend had a couple ballot measures. First one was to change the way that they can put, how do you say this, taxes, new taxes on the ballot. So they had a city charter that says that any new tax, if they want to pass a new tax, increase a tax, they have to put it on the ballot. The voters have to decide, but they also have to decide by the majority of the registered voters. Meaning, so if there's 10,000 registered voters in North Bend, I don't think there are, there's less than that, but let's just say there was 10,000, 5,001 would have to vote for the tax increase. No matter how many people vote in the election, you'd have to get to 5,001 because that's half of the registered voters. So if you look at like this election, you only had a little over 2,000 people vote, you wouldn't get there, even if they all voted yes. So that's why they were trying to change the amendment. And I believe they're not able to change it unless they hit that 50% mark of the electorate, of all the registered voters. So even though you see here it's at like almost 64%, that's not, I don't believe that that's enough at 1,500 votes to actually have that pass. So same thing with the sewer rate increase, the parks and rec pool funding increase, the dog park increase, and the public safety fee increase. I mean, those other three failed flat out. One of them failed like 80-20. Um, and then if you just look at this public safety one on the bottom, it passed in terms of, or it got the majority of the people who voted in this election, but it wasn't remotely close to the number they needed to hit to get the majority of registered voters. So none of those passed. Which, if you don't like taxes and you live in North Bend, you're probably celebrating that as a good thing. So that's pretty much it. That's a wrap for the election. Again, 26.92% of people voted. It's about 1 in 4 people that are registered to vote in the county turned in a ballot. So it's not a governor race. It's not a presidential race. So it's obviously not that exciting. But we have some big decisions with a lot of money that are made in this community by a vote of the board of these taxing districts. which most of them have a 7-person board. So you're talking 4 people in the whole county, 4 out of the 7 can vote and spend a lot of tax dollars one way or another. Um, those are, big decisions, but we're going to have to do a better job of engaging with people and explaining to them why that's important, how it can help the overall picture, how we can actually start to transform our community by focusing on these smaller races. So we've got 2 years till we do this type of race again. But coming up in 1 year from now, you've got uh, 2 commissioner positions, the sheriff, the treasurer, the clerk, like all on a county level. You've got state legislature positions. You've got the governor's race. So some very important things coming up. Hopefully, the Republican Party can get their shit together and figure things out, because this was not at all a good result. The Democrat Party came out very strong, very coordinated, very well funded, and they did a good job. I give them kudos for doing their job, and the other side has to start doing theirs. So those are my thoughts on the election, and I will go through the comments here because there were quite a bit. Jeff says, "Woo, Phil Taylor, yeah, pretty cool." I mean, for somebody coming out of nowhere and just hopping in a race and winning, and Simon Alonso, his competitor, is pretty well known in the community. So Phil did a really good job. Um, he should be really proud of himself. He says, "Can't believe people voted for the status quo," but it's not the whole community didn't vote. You only had 1 out of 4 people, and half of them. So 1/8 of our community voted for the status quo. Generally, if you take 50% of that. So Richard asked, "Do we happen to know when write-in candidates' names and votes are available?" I don't think that that's like available. I would imagine you could do like a public records request to the clerk's office, the election division, and get that information. Maybe just send them an email and see what they say. Give them the specific race, and that would be neat to know some of these write-in candidates. Like I know Joe Benetti, it was like 5.7% write-ins, 461 write-ins. People put on the ballot to compete against Joe Benetti. That's impressive. So it would be interesting to know what those 461 votes, who they went to. Cheryl was singing when I was offline. Appreciate you, Cheryl, trying to entertain everybody. That's funny. You guys are a good crowd. Rick says, "Thanks for the support and running with me." Thank you, Rick. Like Rick and Danessa for stepping up to the plate, putting their name on the ballot. I mean, without you guys running, those seats would have gone completely uncontested. And the big win for the community, even though the 3 of us lost, the big win is that there was a conversation that was had, right? Like we had a conversation about some very important things going on at the community college. And the 3 of us are not going to be on the board to be influential in the future of those decisions, but we had a conversation about it, and maybe that'll be enough, right? Like maybe that will hopefully influence people to make better decisions in the future. Rick says he likes the idea of a new party, one that will support candidates that belong to the party. That would be nice. Um, I've played around with the idea of putting together a new party, like call it the Common Ground Party, right? Can we focus on some local issues like crime and education, like traditional family values, traditional business values, local stuff that we can all agree on, or like a 70% vast majority can agree on, and present candidates that support that platform. That might work. That would be pretty cool. Um, Phil says, "Need bloodhounds and a search party to find that local Republican leadership." It's non existent. When I ran for commissioner, I didn't even know there was a Republican Party at all. I had no idea. No one stopped me. I knew there was one. Um, it didn't even occur to me because I just didn't even know, never even heard of them. Um, so Phil says he'll be at the meeting tomorrow. That is cool. Rick will also be there. He has some grievances. Well, we'll see. Hopefully it's a nice, calm, organized meeting. I mean, that's true leadership would be able to accomplish that. And I'm gonna try my darndest to do my part to make sure everybody gets heard in an appropriate, constructive fashion, because that's what we need. There's obvious issues. Like if people can't even agree that there are issues, whew, we're in a bad spot. But we've got to we've got to have these conversations. So Richard says takes a massive amount of money to get Republicans to vote or to get Republican votes. Yeah, I wonder if there's a difference between the money required to get a Democrat to actually turn in a ballot versus a Republican to turn in a ballot. That'd be interesting to know. But um, yeah, we just I don't even care what party. Like we just have to have more people involved in this process. Because I go out there and I talk with people, and again, like I said about the common ground stuff, if we focus on local issues, common ground topics, I don't care what party you're from. And that's what I do all day. Those are the types of people I talk to. And we agree. Like people agree they want this community to be safe and to nurture our youth and to create good leaders and give them the education they deserve, to help small businesses, give them the opportunity to succeed. Like we all want that. The majority of us want that. And we don't want all the political ideology mixed in with it. So from whatever side it's coming from. So hopefully we can find a way to accomplish that and get more people engaged. I think it's going to take a long time. It's going to take years. But I think we can do it. I think we can all work together as long as we see that as the right vision. If we all just fight about the small stuff and don't worry about that big picture, we're not gonna go anywhere. So um, Lewis says if we can get rid of the parties and everyone ran independently on their own merit, it would be great. But so much for wishful thinking. That would be the best option. But I don't think we'll ever get there, unfortunately. Um, we're going to have to find a balance right now. So that's like one end of the spectrum, right? We're way over here where people just put their trust in the system or the party. They put their trust in the system that it works or that they can't influence it. So then they don't vote. Or they put their trust in a political party and just vote the recommendation. If the Democrats say do this or the Republicans say do that, you do it. And they put their trust in that system or that party, and that's how they act. And that's where we're at right now. We're way over here. So yeah, we do need, it would be great to get all the way over here where people are just doing their own research, being engaged, making their own independent choice. That would be perfect. But we're never going to get there. I think we can get somewhere in the middle. There's going to be a mix. We're going to get new people engaged that make independent, critical decisions. And then we're also going to get more people trusting a Republican Party or a Democrat Party to tell them who to vote for. But if we can embolden those parties to do the right thing and vet their candidates and make sure that they actually support the platform that they're pushing, regardless of what side you're on, that would be the best scenario, because then when you see a Republican or a Democrat like on the ballot, you see their name, you know exactly what they stand for, and that's actually helpful, right? Like if you see a D and you knew what platform they support, that would be helpful. That's kind of research, you know a little bit more about them to be able to make that decision. The problem is right now having a D or an R by your name is confusing, right? Like everybody has a different version in their head of what an R means. What does a Republican mean? Does it mean you hate immigrants? Does a D by your name mean you want gay people everywhere or something? Like what I think there's such a disconnect between what Republican and Democrat means versus what their actual platform is. So both parties need to do a better job of educating people on the platform and vetting candidates that and making sure they actually support that platform and they're not just using it for flamboyant political ideology. So that was all of the comments. I don't think Perry's going to be able to join us because I've run out of stuff to talk about and I have some gardening to do after all this rain we've had. So I'm going to go out and get a little gardening in. Got some watermelons growing in the ground. It's very exciting. I planted them in like August last year. They did not make it. You can't grow watermelons in like September and October in Oregon. It doesn't work. So I've got them in the ground now. I'm hoping they'll be ready by August, and that is the right time to eat a watermelon. So with that, I will leave you people your evening, and I appreciate you guys. We'll have a better plan going forward because um, the one the one we had didn't work. So we're going to get people more involved, and that's what this citizen council thing was all about. I think we're going to try and turn it more into like a journalistic investigative thing, and like put out maybe even like a print, like a newspaper, like a mailer, something like once a month. That would be really neat. Allow people like yourselves to contribute to that. I think that would be really interesting. Reach out to some different people, do some editorials, do some like very fact-based journalistic investigative stuff. Yeah, I think it could be well-rounded. It could be common ground, focused on common things, not just like left or right crazy talk. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Um, Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you again next Wednesday right here. I appreciate every single one of you guys.